So then I clicked on the X button to make it go away, but then it was a link to another ad, and when I tried to cancel that, another window came up and it was this. Dude, what the bro? What does this mean, dude, bro? What the bro?
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and what has got to be the most ridiculous item of the day, possibly, are the rumors coming out of Marvel Studios that they're dropping the X-Men brand, the title, from their relaunch of X-Men into the MCU, and they're going to start calling it the Mutants. Certainly, this has to be an outrageous rumor. It can't be true. Well, let's talk about that, because there might be a little bit of truth to it. And here to talk with me about this and discuss a little bit is my good friend, the Poobah of comics himself. Perch, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
So obviously we've heard the rumors that people want to, I guess they feel like X-Men is a gendered title for the franchise. And there have been people suggesting that they remove the branding of X-Men under Disney once they relaunched it. I think most people weren't taking it all that seriously. But if you look at the two X-Men movies, which they didn't produce, but they did distribute after they acquired Fox, you know, Dark Phoenix is the only movie within the X-Men saga that didn't have an X-Men title, and New Mutants certainly didn't have that branding either. Is there some legitimacy to this rumor?
So I still don't think so. I think this is people who are kind of looking for this kind of stuff. There's a lot of, suddenly with these kinds of things, people come out of the woodwork to say they've got inside sources that are sitting around the tables at Disney. I mean, I just don't buy it. It's certainly possible. It would just put it this way. This is where I do the logic, and you decide for yourself. Marvel is not dropping X-Men, the comic. There still is a comic X-Men. We're going to get through this Hellfire Gala. We're going to get a democratically voted X-Men team. And there's going to be, a true, according to Hickman, a true X-Men comic. Now, whether that means another X-Men comic, I would not be surprised if there was X-Men and Uncanny X-Men suddenly starting to ship, because it is the X line, and the more the merrier, apparently, is their strategy. But if they were going to drop the -min aspect for gender reasons, I have to believe that would happen in the comics long before it happened in the movies. The comics line has far more of shown far more willingness to do stuff like that. And if the comics are moving forward with it, I have a hard time believing the movies are going to out-progressive them where this is concerned. So I'm not. That's where I come at it. But anything could happen. Strange decisions have been made.
Absolutely. We are getting into the next phase of the MCU, and it's definitely got a different flavor than the initial phase. And one of the big acquisitions that came along with Fox when Disney acquired that entire company was they did get to bring the X-Men film rights back home to Marvel Studios. They did bring the Fantastic Four back home to Marvel Studios. And we've been anticipating. We know the Fantastic Four stuff is they've already got a director. It's further in development. But just thinking about the X-Men brand itself as a movie franchise, it's been successful. It essentially was one of the real kickoffs of like the modern era of comic book movies, where they were taken a little bit more seriously. They tried to not be so campy and things like that with the original X-Men movie. But that brand itself is worth money. And just thinking about how much they would be leaving on the table, it's almost ridiculous to even believe or consider that would happen. But in the times that I live in, I am seeing so much ridiculousness happening left and right that you almost have to consider that there might be some validity to it.
It's not impossible. It's not. It would be dumb. And so, I mean, we can look at this in any different way. I mean, financially, it'd be a bad decision for everything you just mentioned. There's a known entity. It's a brand. Marvel wants to distribute their movies worldwide. If you're going to pander to a U.S. audience based on current trends, and I fully expect, by the way, within the next 4 to 6 years, as these movies really start clocking, the trends are going to change. A lot of you look at the stuff that people were really pushing 4 to 8 years ago, it's completely different today. So I have a hard time believing that this is going to stick in this way. We'll be off chasing some other dumb thing. But dumb decisions do get made. So it's certainly possible. It would be leaving a lot of money on the table. Disney does understand that. They do like money. I've seen the people say, well, they like identity politics more than money. No, they still like money most. Disney is a whore for money. But I think the other thing you're seeing here is that when they integrate the X-Men in, they're not going to just do a X-Men movie and call it a day. They're going to want to do a similar situation that they did with the Avengers and try and get as many films in this franchise out. It's not just going to be one; it's going to be many. And I think that's also potentially what you see when you see this branding for the Mutants. It's more an indication of a lot of films coming into the picture. That's my belief anyway.
Well, I think everyone, certainly MCU fans that are also fans of the X-Men, are waiting for that introduction. They're waiting for the first appearance of Wolverine or Professor X or maybe Magneto, one of the real core characters of the X-Men franchise, to show up, in any of these MCU movies, whether it be, Thor, Love and Thunder, or the next Guardians of the Galaxy. When I imagine that's how they'll start integrating the world of the X-Men into Marvel Studios. But Kevin Feige has proven over the time that he's very good at marketing. He seems to understand his audience very well. And I don't know you, but my brother, my two brothers, don't read comic books. My nephews don't read comic books, but they know what X-Men is.
Sure.
If you put the mutants on there, there's going to be a lot of confusion. Obviously, you're going to have Wolverine with his claws out, but Kevin Feige, he knows his audience. He knows that you have to put those names forward that people will recognize and gravitate to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, they're not going to leave money on the table. They have this library. They ingested the X-Men movies into Disney Plus. They're there. They're not called Mutants 1 and 2. They're not rebranding any of that stuff. I mean, again, we live in weird times, so weird decisions can be made. I'm not denying that weird things can be done. But when they're making these movies, they are looking at a 10 to 20 year play of licensing and money and everything else. I mean, this is not a short-term thing, and they're not going to casually make these decisions to satisfy a Twitter mob today. It's going to be more thoughtful than that. Typically speaking, again, I know already there's going to be people in your comments like, Perch is just stupid. He doesn't realize that these people are insane. No, I'm with you. People are insane. It's just Disney is hurting for cash at the moment. They need these movies to do well. They are taking their time with the whole X-Men line of movies and ingesting it in, as they should, because that's a whole phase in and of itself, just getting these people in. I have trouble with this one, but we'll
Absolutely.
see.
Just thinking about Disney, where they are with their film franchises right now, I can't imagine enthusiasm for Star Wars as far as movies going forward being any lower.
Yes,
Even though The Mandalorian's been successful and there's been positive responses for the most part to the MCU, the Disney Plus related stuff that's supposed to come out, the Gina Carano controversy aside, I can't imagine enthusiasm for the movies themselves being any lower. But then you look at the MCU itself. There's no Iron Man. There's no Captain America. They've lost a lot of the pillars of the MCU. I can't imagine, they need to get the money flowing and keep the property hot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's no matter how much the world is weird, no matter how much people's fears are about this kind of stuff, Feige historically has not shown a willingness to drive the car right off the cliff. And like you said, Star Wars is stumbles. It does not have a clear path forward, regardless of the Gina issue or anything else. It's at the end of its trilogy. It's at the end of the nine movies, so they're desperately trying to figure out what the next hook is for that franchise, and it's a $1 billion moneymaker for them, so they're gonna have to figure that out. I don't believe they're gonna casually just say, hey, we noticed that there's some people on Twitter who have pronouns in their bios who would like the pronouns to be established in one of the most recognizable comic brands. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. That doesn't mean they won't do it, but you're now at this point stretching into crazy territory.
Yeah, I can't fathom it. But as soon as I read it, I was like, well, we need to talk about it because it's going to be out there. But I just can't imagine in any world a sane business person or even a studio head that was responsible to the investors could ever make that decision. Where the hell does a rumor like this come up? Do you think there's a meeting and it was mentioned, and next thing you know, it gets leaked out?
No, I don't think there's a meeting. I don't think anything like that happens. I think it's people who are looking at kind of this continual trend of very strange identity politics and other things coming into entertainment, and that's what they're doing. I mean, it's you see some of these decisions get made, and then you see a teaser image saying the mutants, and you put 2 and 2 together. I mean, I totally get where people come to this conclusion. I absolutely get it. There have been a lot of dumb decisions made, a lot of strange things going on. But typically speaking, we jump to conclusions based on a very limited set of data. And then as more information comes out, we learn more, whether it's, last year with 5G and everything else. I mean, as more data came out, the story became clearer. It doesn't mean it's all going to be one way or another. It just means we don't have a lot of the data right now. And so I think the facts are simply this. It is a recognizable brand, like you say. It's going to be a crazy business move to get rid of it. Feige does not have a history of making crazy business moves in this way, so it seems unlikely. But people are dumb. Who knows?
Hey, I'm with you. I'm ready to call balderdash on this. Really, like that is one of the most ridiculous decisions I can ever imagine. So I'm willing to eat crow if it actually comes out that when the X-Men franchise is integrated into the MCU and Wolverine and Professor X and Cyclops and Storm and all those recognizable characters finally show up on the big screen with all of our favorite MCU heroes, and they're just called the Mutants instead of the X-Men, I will eat an enormous plate of crow because I just cannot see it happen.
Yeah, I'll be there with you. I think I am willing to stand up and say that was a terribly stupid business decision that defied all logic, and can't believe they did that.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.